to show you guys how I clean a crappie. And this is the new Bubba blade. But the key is for me, I like to start with the back of the fish. I'm going to start right here. You can see the rib bones. You see how I've gone all the way to the scales. That's a big old hump of crappie meat.
And we're done. Here's our big old bucket of fillets, deboned crappie. Can't wait to eat them.
Alright, hey guys, I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to show you guys how I clean a crappie. I've got a nice sink full of Oklahoma crappie here, and I've been craving some fresh crappie. I'm going to clean them, and I just thought I'd take a minute to make a short video, show you guys how I clean fish. I'm sure everybody knows how to clean fish, but in case you don't, I'm going to show you what I do, the process I go through. Over the years, I've had a bunch of different fillet knives. I've got a bunch of them down here from the old school Electric Fisherman by Mr. Twister. I've gone through Rapala knives, and here my most recent gift was a gift from my wife. And this is the new Bubba blade, Electric Fillet Knife. It's a really cool kit that you get. I'll show you guys what comes in it, but it's a nice case. It's got this. It comes with 2 battery packs that you plug into the bottom here. So these can be charged and they last a really long time. So it's got a nice kit here. It comes with 4 blades. So here's the 4 blades, and the difference is you've got a 9-inch and a 12-inch blade that's kind of in this rigid blade. You can tell it's a little bit bigger than the one I got here, and this one comes in a 7-inch and a 9-inch. I prefer using this more flexible blade in the 9-inch. It seems to cover, you know, if you get a bigger crappie, 13, 14 inches, it seems like the 7-inch blade's a little bit short, so it'd probably be better for a little bit smaller perch or panfish or something. But that's the one I like. The stiffer blades are good if you step up to like something like a sand bass or a striper or something, or even a catfish, something with a little more bones, you need a stiffer blade, but I really like that blade a lot. It's got a lot of flex to it. Works really good on a crappie. So that's what I'm going to use for my fillet knife. I got my setup here. I'm in my garage. I got me a fillet board here that I like to cut on. I got my crappie set out. I always set out a bucket of water for my fillets when they're done. And I always have another knife, just a handheld sharp knife that I can use to take the bones out. So let's walk you through cleaning a crappie. So I'll put this aside. So we're going to start out here with this nice crappie. It's a nice Oklahoma crappie. And these I had to put on ice. I couldn't clean them last night, so I'm cleaning them this evening. And so they've been a little bit thawed out. But the key is for me, I like to start with the shoulder of the fish, this being the shoulder, the top of the fish. I like to start with that being away from me, towards the top. What I mean by that is there's this angle, and then there's this angle where the shoulder of the fish is towards my waist. And the reason I like to do that is because it's easier to get this shoulder meat on this side when it's away from you. You have to kind of bend down with the knife. When you have the shoulder meat on the back side to help lift the fish up off. So if I clean this side first, all this meat's away, and then when I'm here, this fish is even further away from me. So I end up leaving meat on the shoulder. So if I clean with the shoulder away from me first, when I get to this side, the shoulder's near me, and it's easier for me to get down and get that extra meat. That's where the bulkier meat is right here in the shoulder. So I'm going to start. I like to grab the fish by the mouth and kind of tuck my hands up under his gill. I'm just trying to hold the fish still where he's at. And you can see the gill plate right here. You can see this gill line. And really that's your imaginary line right through there. So I'm just going to make a nice cut, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the fish. So here I'm cutting into the shoulder. He goes right down, and now I'm going to cut all the way to the bottom of the fish. So I have a nice long line all the way down. And you got to get a feel for it. You don't want to go through the vertebrae. You know, you'll feel it. It stops. And so now, because of this flexible blade, I'm able to turn this, and as I start the blade, I'm going to turn it and go into the fish and let the blade flex, let the motor do the work. And down here at the bottom, I'm going to make sure I'm getting that whole flap. And I'm just going to slowly work my way to the back of the fish. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm just trying to feel the knife hit that vertebrae, but I don't want to go through it. And then when I get to the tail right there, I stop. That gives me a nice pivot point to flip the fillet over. And so you can see here, I've done a pretty good job. I can see the other side. It's real thin. I've got almost all the meat there. And then the next step is here. So I've let this attach because what it does is it holds that fish for me. So when I go to do this, I don't have to sit there and pinch on that piece. Sometimes that'll come off. It's kind of hard. But if it is, you can start right here. You do the same thing. You get the blade going. And you can see how, a little bit further, you can see how I've gone all the way to the scales. Now in a crappie, there's no red meat right up against the back of the scale, so you want to get as close to that as you can, get all the meat you can. If you're in a sand bass or a striper or hybrid and you want to get the red meat out, you want to stop short of going to the scale, stay shallow, and come up, and you can leave a lot of that red meat attached to the back of the fillet. And the crappie doesn't have that. This is why they're one of my favorite fish and one of the best eating ones. You just go all the way down to the end until it comes off, and there you go. I've got this. You can see there's no red meat on the back of a crappie, and that's my fillet. So now I've done this top shoulder. I'm going to throw this fillet off to the side, and now I'm going to show you what I was talking about. I'm going to flip this fish over, and now the shoulder of the fish is towards me. And again, as you can see, now that's not there anymore. So if I have the shoulder of this here, it's a little easier for me to get down and get to this part of the fish with this top of the shoulder towards me. Same thing, I'm going to cut all the way down. I'm going to get here, I'm going to turn the corner. I'm going to try to make sure I'm getting the whole fillet. And I'll show you the reason why I'm making sure I get the whole fillet. Because on a bigger crappie like this one, there's a lot of meat that sits right here. So if you miss that part of the fillet, when you go to flip it over, see this meat right here? That's the meat I'd be missing had I not started right here. So you want to get over and you want to get that, and they call that the V, and I'll show you the V here in just a second. So same thing, I've stopped there, so I'll hang on to my fillet for me, going down until I feel myself get to the scales. And I just let the knife work and go all the way out the other side. And there we go, I'm done. So this fish is done, it's been cleaned. Try not to drip it all over the garage. You can see how hollowed out that fish is. You can see how well we've done of getting all the meat through that. They like to say you can read a newspaper through it, I don't know about that, but we got all the meat on that fish. Now normally I would continue this process and I would pile up all my fillets here, and that would be step one. And then I'd kind of clean the board a little bit, put this knife away, and go to debone them. But for simplicity purposes, I'm going to put this knife down. You can use an electric fillet knife. I prefer using just a handheld knife for the deboning process. So this is the deboning process, and these are some common things you see when you're cleaning a fish. So I've got my fillet. The first thing I look for when I get a fillet, with an electric fillet knife, you're going to get this little membrane on both sides of the fish. There's one on this side, and you can literally just grab it and it just peels right off. I'm not saying if you eat that you're going to get sick, because you're not, but it's just I'm kind of OCD, so you'll pull that off the fish and then flip around on the shoulder side of the fish. You'll see there's one that you'll pick up there from time to time. And if you're getting this, then that means you're doing a good job of getting all the meat on the fish. And you'll pull that off. And see that pulls all the way back, there's a little piece there. And every now and then it'll touch like a little bitty bone. And so there's that. So those are the first two things I do. I pull those off. And now we're going to cut what I call the V of the fish. So I'm going to start right here. You can see the rib bone. It's not hard to see where this V is going to be. You literally just trace, here's the bones of the rib, you literally get on the outside of it, you cut all the way down to the back side of the fillet, and then when you get here you work your way up to the top of the V, and then here I'm at the top of the V, and I'm going to cut right here, and now I've just cut out the rib cage. So there's no meat on that. This is the V. This is that big old extra chunk of meat I got by getting the whole piece of the fish. So you can see how much meat that is on a larger fish. On a small fish, it may not be as significant, but on a big crappie, big, nice, healthy fillet. So there you go. There's your fillet. That's a big old hunk of crappie meat. You could dice that up into 5 or 6 chunks. And so immediately I'll just take that and I'll put it over here in my water. And I'll get done with all my fish. And when I'm done with all my fish, I will rinse all the fillets and either put that bucket of water in the refrigerator because I'm going to eat them the next night, or I'll divvy them up in a Ziploc bag and freeze them. And when I freeze them, I like to add water to my bag. Some people don't. I think the water does a fine job. Freezer burn's going to hit no matter which way you do it if you leave it in there for several years. But I always add water in mine, and a touch of salt if you like to have a salty flavored fish. Anyway, that's how I clean fish, guys. Bubba blade works great. A lot of other knives work great too. Anyway, just thought I'd make kind of a different video, and so I hope you guys like it. If you got any questions, ask me. Thanks for watching. Click like, click subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.